Hi, it's Maggie the Irish Gypsy here to bring you your October 2018 general readings. Welcome to everyone, and welcome especially to any newcomers who are with us for the first time. I thank you always for all your likes, shares, and subscribes, and for those of you who continue to follow my YouTube channel, and thank you to all of my clients out there, regular and new, for keeping me so busy wherever I am. With personal one-on-one readings. I am still actually in Europe at the time of this recording. I'm recording these in the last few days of September, but by the time you see these around the 1st of October, I will be back home in California. So thank you for those of you who always follow me through all of my journeys all over the world, as I do like to travel quite a bit. If any of you are interested in any personal one-on-one reading with me, you can get more information, my contact details, by going to my YouTube channel's homepage and clicking on the little About button, or you can click on any of the description bars of any of the videos I post. Please feel free to email me directly at Maggie1McGuire@gmail.com. I'd be delighted to work with you. Turnaround time is pretty fast for personal readings, live or recorded, as I do readings full time, 5 to 6 days a week. It is what I do. And I can usually get back to you within the first 24 hours of your initial contact with more information. So send me an email if you're interested. We'll go from there. You can also find me on the smartphone app Instantgo under Irish Gypsy. That link is also provided. All right, let's get right into this. This reading is for the fire sign of Aries for the month of October 2018. Forgive me if I sound a little hoarse and froggy. I'm just recovering at the tail end of a cold, so I'm a little hoarse, but feeling pretty good. All right, Aries, let's see what's in store for you for the month of October 2018. Remember that general readings resonate a little differently for everybody watching, so if you know your rising and your moon sign, watch those as well. Okay, Aries, October 2018 for our Rams. All right, Aries, we begin with the Six of Swords and the Two of Wands. We have the Nine of Pentacles and the Eight of Wands. We have the Four of Pentacles and the Moon, and we have the Knight of Swords and the Ace of Pentacles. From the bottom of the deck, your overall energy and guidance for the month is the Two of Pentacles. It's interesting, I got some similar energy for the fire sign of Leo a few readings ago too, so maybe something with the fire signs. But I know that the full moon energy too is releasing, has released or is releasing some things that have been stuck as well. So it looks like you are maybe going back and forth between something for the month of October, Aries. Your crowning card from the bottom of the deck representing the overall energy and focus and advice for the month of October 2018 is the Two of Pentacles. Twos usually represent duality choices, sometimes being at a crossroads, kind of going back and forth between one thing and the other, trying to make a choice, which some of you I feel may be doing. The Two of Pentacles can also represent, being quite busy as well, with your fingers in a lot of pies, so to speak. Be careful, always the cautionary advice with the Two of Pentacles, that you don't miss out on what's going on in your environment because you're so kind of focused on what you're doing or what you're thinking about as well. So just maybe, I feel like some of you may be going back and forth between one choice or another. And I felt kind of Leo was similar to this too, only Leo's was the energy was a bit stronger. It looks like you're maybe feeling a little unsure as to whether to continue holding on to something or letting something go. But it looks like you're going through a bit of a quiet healing phase, particularly at the end of September, beginning of October, and thinking about where to go from here on out. We have two twos here, and again, twos can represent duality and crossroads. We have the Six of Swords and the Two of Wands around the first week or so of October, time always being kind of fluid, of course. The Six of Swords is a card of peace and restoration and healing, particularly in a mental way, because Swords is air energy, which is more mental, cerebral, intellectual energy. It's about how we look at things and our belief systems, because that affects how we look at the world and how we relate. to other people and the world in general. The Six of Swords is a card of moving away from maybe a difficult time into a quieter, more stable period. Which is what this woman or man is leaving behind. If you could see the water behind the boat, it would be very choppy and wavy and turbulent. But as you can see, she's transitioning into a smoother, more placid water. It's transitional, meaning you've left the worst behind you or a difficult time behind you. You're not quite to the other shore yet, non-solid ground, but you're definitely moving towards that peace, healing, and restoration as well. And maybe just a more contemplative time too. Trying to figure out which way to go, because what clarifies the Six of Swords around the end of September, beginning of October also is the Two of Wands. So you have two twos, your overall energy going back and forth, and the Two of Wands. The Two of Wands represents being at a crossroad, as this man is. Do I go left? Do I go right? And the key to choosing the right path, to trying to make the right decision, is in looking down the road, not necessarily at where things are right now, but what you actually hope for a year down the road, 5 years down the road, 10 years from down the road. For relationships, this would represent maybe not making the decision whether to let a relationship go or continue based on what's going on. Maybe right now, you might be going through a rough spot right now. But it's looking down the road. What kind of a relationship do I ultimately want to have? Looking at what I have now realistically, do we still have the chance of making it towards that relationship? Or, for those of you who are single, this is about focusing long-term goals on the kind of relationship you ultimately want, and then making dating decisions that propel you closer to the kind of relationship you want. For example, if you want to, if the kind of relationship you want is to get married and build a home and a life and a family and stuff, you wouldn't make dating decisions that would build relationships or get you involved with people who don't want the same thing. So it's about looking down the road at what you ultimately want, and then making present day decisions based on propelling you towards that. In job, work, and career, it's the same. If ultimately where you want to be 1 year, 5 year, 10 years down the road, the job that you're currently in, or the career path that you're currently on, if it doesn't really look like it's going to get you there, then you have to kind of evaluate that. Either reevaluate your goals or reevaluate the path that you're on right now. Let's take a look at your elemental energy here. We have 4 Pentacles, 2 Wands, 2 Swords, and the Moon card. It's interesting that you don't have any cups here. It doesn't mean this could definitely still be about relationships, but it doesn't look like October, Aries, for the most part, is a tremendously deeply emotional month. Of course, that may vary for some of you, but there just doesn't look like emotions and feelings are a huge factor. It doesn't look like you're going to be all over the place emotionally. Although, of course, in general readings, there's so many of you watching, it might be. And this is where watching your rising and your moon sign can come in handy as well. So it looks like you're in a peaceful, quiet time, a contemplative time as we transition from September into October. There may be some sadness and nostalgia. But again, when you are evaluating where you want to go next, or especially in trying to make a decision between one thing or the other, letting go of something or not letting go of something, be realistic about where you're at and what your long-term goals are, and if the path that you're on can still lead you towards those long-term goals. Now next we have the Nine of Pentacles and the Eight of Wands. So the Nine of Pentacles is a card about independence, empowerment, self-sufficiency, self-reliance. It's a card about enjoying what you have around you that you've worked really hard for. Nobody's handed anything for you. You like yourself. You enjoy where you're going. It's a card of financial or at least material abundance and stability as well, because Pentacles is earth energy, and it usually manifests in the earthly concrete area of our life that deals with such things. Money, finances, job, property, etc. This is a card of not having to rely on other people. It's a card of independence and self-assurance, self-reliance. And also in terms of finances or material wealth or job, it looks like the second week is going to be, you're going to be doing pretty well. in that sense. Now, it's clarified by the Eight of Wands, which is a card of messages and communication. So there may be a lot of communication, maybe around the second week or so of October, communication going back and forth. It can also represent travel. Some of you may be traveling. Some of you may be traveling for work, or just, in kind of an independent mode, maybe traveling by yourself. Because I do get the sense that some of you are going to be spending more time on your own, alone, or just kind of internally alone, just kind of doing your own thing. And for some of you, there may be a focus more on work, on money, on job, or on traveling as well. And just kind of enjoying that kind of space. Now, next to that, we have the Four of Pentacles with the Moon. So it kind of looks like, as energy kind of does tend to go up and down, you're ending September, beginning October with this kind of inner contemplative, maybe focused on trying to make a decision about something. The second week, that kind of eases up and you're kind of doing your own thing, maybe just working hard or being focused on work. And then around the third week or so, the Four of Pentacles and the Moon comes in. So again, we have some energy about whether to, not sure if I should continue to hold on to something or to let something go. And that something is going to vary in general readings. For some of you, it might be a relationship. And by relationship, that can mean a romantic relationship or a relationship of another kind. It can mean a job or work situation or a project. It can mean a career path or even a spiritual path as well, because the Four of Pentacles is a card of holding on quite tightly. Sometimes in a financial sense, it's been nicknamed the miser card, being very frugal or being very economical. Some of you, this just may not have anything to do with relationships or anything like that. It might be a financial situation or a job work situation. I know people sometimes get frustrated following readings that seem to focus so much on romantic relationships. Again, it doesn't, some of them come across to me loud and clear as that. This one isn't actually. It feels like, even if it is relationship oriented, the focus is not hugely emotional. So the Four of Pentacles can represent, maybe you're going through you're focused on something to do with job work or financial investment, and that looks like it promises to be quite good for you, but you may be being very economical or frugal right now. You might be saving for something too. In an emotional way, this can represents holding on. And sometimes I see this card come up when someone's lost a lot in their life, and so they cling very tightly to what they have left. They don't want to open up or share or just let go because they're afraid of losing more, or they want to retain what they have left. And in an emotional way, this can represent being closed off or guarded or not willing to open up or share, in an emotional or personal way. And the interesting thing is that it's next to the Nine of Pentacles, which is that card of independence. So for some of you for whom this might be a relationship reading of some kind, it might be that you are maybe not knowing whether to move forward in a relationship or not, because moving forward would mean a deeper level of commitment. And you maybe have been single for a long time or independent for a long time, and you're afraid that moving forward would be a big sacrifice to you. Maybe holding on to that sense of independence and self-reliance. You may not want to kind of move on to that next step, or that's the struggle for you as well. But when we struggle with whether or not to let go of something, it's usually because energy itself, spirit, God, spirit, angels, and guides are prompting us to make a movement in area. That's where internal conflict comes from. And when we kind of are in conflict, especially over a period of time, it's important to pay attention to that, because it means that spirit is propelling us to take action or make a movement one way or the other, whether it's actual physical movement or just to make a decision one way or the other, because that's where the conflict comes from. Do I do it or do I not? Do I let go of this particular relationship or job or path or financial thing? Or do I stay? Because the Four of Pentacles is clarified by the Moon, if you could say it's clarified, because the Moon, things are not always so clear with the Moon. I mean, when the sun shines out, everything's transparent and everything is revealed. But under the light of the Moon, there's a lot of, shadowy corners and hidden nooks and crannies. It can represent, deep spirituality or stirrings in our subconscious or our spirit or, our gut. Like, you know, there's just, I'm feeling something in there. I'm not quite sure what it is. I feel prompted or compelled, but I can't see it quite clearly yet because things aren't always so clear with the moon as well. And that's what clarifies the Four of Pentacles, which is holding on to something. So, and again, do I hold on or do I not? It's not so clear. And we also, remember, have these two twos. Do I do this? Do I move forward? Do I not move forward? Regardless of what area of your life this is in. And so there's this kind of undercurrent there, which was similar to Leo too. So it may be with people who have a lot of fire in their natal chart, only Leo's was more intense in different ways. But again, you have kind of this undercurrent running through it. Your cards at the top for the 4 weeks of October, it's, you know, maybe a quieter time, kind of more independent, doing your own thing, maybe working more, kind of keeping to yourself more. But there's this undercurrent underneath of, you know, something stirring, kind of something bubbling on the back burner. Do I do this or do I not do this? Do I hold on? Do I let go? Do I continue? Do I not? So there's a kind of undercurrent running through the month as well, even though on the surface you're kind of doing your own thing and in a quieter place, particularly with your thoughts. You may be having, for those of you in relationships, you may be physically separated from them during this time. And I don't mean maybe in a legal separation, but I mean there just might be physical distance or a quieter time between the two of you. Now, at or towards the end of October 2018, we have the Knight of Swords with the Ace of Pentacles. So the Knight of Swords is a card of, knights usually represent offers or opportunities coming in, because knights are the deliverers of the tarot. When you think about knights in the medieval world, they were their whole focus was on missions and quests and delivering the results of those. And they also can represent the speed at which situations move, typically fast-moving situations, because knights were known for being rather spontaneous and sometimes even fanatical. You know, charge, nothing's going to get in the way of achieving that mission or quest. So this is the Knight of Swords. Swords is that mental, cerebral, intellectual energy. It's about communication as well. So it looks like something's coming in around the last week of October or so. Some kind of news or information coming in. And Swords is also about illumination and enlightenment too. You can see the light of that on this Knight's sword, the light of truth, the light of enlightenment, of knowledge, of awareness, of seeing something as it really is, because Swords is air energy. It's energy about what goes on up in here. It's not a particularly emotional energy. So there could be some kind of enlightenment coming in for you, Aries, towards the end of the month. Maybe seeing something after going through this quiet contemplative time. There may be some news or information that comes in that you receive that makes something clear to you, or an opportunity for you. And what clarifies it is the Ace of Pentacles. Now, aces represent the number one, so they always represent the beginning of something, the start of something new, a new path, or the opportunity for something new. So this is a new beginning, but it's Pentacles, that's earth energy, money, finances, property, resources, or something just tangible and concrete. This would be a new beginning or the opportunity for a new beginning that makes a difference in your practical day-to-day life. It's often the card that comes up for moving, relocating, starting a new job, or receiving an unexpected maybe gift or sum of money or resources that enable you to have a practical new beginning. It's a new beginning that makes a difference in the concrete area of your life, even if it's about a relationship. You know, like it could be moving in together, purchasing your first home. Some of you may be, towards the end of the month, you may have a new offer coming in for a job or to move, or something that causes you maybe to move or relocate, or a combination of all of those. I just pulled another card, which would have been the next card to come after, you know, that Knight of Swords and Ace of Pentacles, if we were going to continue it. And I pulled the Five of Pentacles, which is a card that can represent insufficiency and lack in finances or in a relationship, but it can also represent getting through the tough times through thick and thin in relationships or in other situations. And then the Ten of Wands, which is about a heavy burden coming to an end. So not to delve too deeply in that, because we could continue pulling cards, you know, forever. Aries, I think that whatever it is that you're trying to come to a decision about, I feel like at the end, more towards the end of October for some of you, and of course, general reading, there's, many of you watching, thousands of you watching, the time can vary. But I feel like at least during the last half of October, some of you it might be even a little bit in the beginning of November, I feel like you're going to have a better handle on what's going on. In terms of making a decision about something, whether to go one way or another. The cautionary advice through this, because it looks like most of this is on the back burner for the month of October, and you have more of a clear picture of it, or a clear perspective and enlightenment at the end of the month, and you're off on a new beginning. Some of you, that new beginning may be physical in nature, moving, relocating, starting a new job, or having a new offer coming in. Make sure that in contemplating during the month of October whether or not to choose one thing over another, make sure that you choose it based on how you make sure that you choose it based on it getting you closer to or helping you achieve your long-term goal in whatever area of your life this reading will resonate in. So Aries, that pretty much wraps up your October 2018 general reading. I hope that you enjoyed it or found it helpful, or at least not too confusing, because that's why we do these readings, to help. Again, if any of you are interested in a more personal one-on-one reading with me, you can get more information and my contact details by going to my YouTube channel's homepage, clicking on that little About button, or you can click on the description bar of any of the videos I post. Please feel free to email me directly at Maggie1McGuire@gmail.com. I would be delighted to work with you and set up a reading as quickly as we can. Turnaround time is pretty fast because I do readings full time. Love and romance, compatibility charting, reconciliation, possibility spreads, career, work, and finance. I do investment readings as well. 6 and 12-month overviews to take a look at what's coming in your life depending on how far ahead you want to look. I do channel messages from past on loved ones and gift readings as well. And we are coming up on the holiday season. Those are always pretty popular. So Aries, I will see you all again in a couple of weeks for the October 2018 mid-month general readings. And until then, as always, I wish you joy, peace, blessings, and a happy life. And I hope to see you back here again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.